Welcome to this, a 6-month-ish review of the Shimoda Action X50 camera bag. I bought it in October of last year and it's now the start of April. Thankfully, all of the half-assed April Fool's jokes from marketing people have finally died down, and I can do a review of this bag, which is the best camera bag that I've ever bought, albeit horribly expensive. But I don't mind that because it is the first camera bag I have bought that I don't really have any major issues with. There is an issue, but I'll get into that in a bit. Main takeaway from this is that if you need a bag that is both a decent camera bag, a decent other things bag, and a very capable hiking bag, this is an excellent bag for you. Probably, aside from the cost. So I'll start by talking about the fact that it is a roll-top bag, because I don't normally like roll-top bags. I find them very irritating. You want to get something out of the roll-top, well, you have to unclip it and you have to go like this. You think, oh no, it wasn't in that bit, and then you have to go like this. Clip it back together. Oh no, maybe it was in that bit, and you have to go like this. It's not brilliant, but the Shimoda bag is the first one I've ever seen that has a zip access to the same compartment, and that's just brilliant. It's a wonderful bit of product design. It was clearly designed by people who know about this issue, and it gives you the best of a roll top, so you can get the bag really quite large and fill it full of stuff. There's a good 15 or so litres, I guess, 15, maybe 20 litres, maybe a little bit more, on top of the large DSLR insert that I have in this bag. I'll go into the insert in a bit, but yes, that single feature immediately resolves any issues that I have with a roll-top bag, and I think it's brilliant. In terms of other features I particularly like on the bag, it really just has to be about the harness, which, as you can see, is contoured for a start, and this is the default strap set that comes with it. But you, for no additional cost, can get 3 variants of straps specifically shaped to different female body shapes, and I have not seen that from any other manufacturer. It's an incredible option, and I think this already puts it quite far ahead of the vast majority of its competitors. So for me, one of the real benefits of the harness is that it's adjustable in size. So you go from small up to XL, and one of the reasons I've had trouble with large camera bags in the past is that I have quite a short torso and quite long legs, and it means that for non-adjustable tall bags, they push down on my belt and tend to push my trousers off, which is, unideal at best. And so this is a very nice harness. The only thing I would say is that if you have a laptop inserted in the sleeve here, it becomes less comfortable. But you have an alternate place to put a laptop, so it's not the end of the world. As you can see here, I've taken the waist belt off, but it does come with a waist belt. The waist belt unfortunately doesn't have any pockets on it, which I think would make it ideal, and I would probably keep it on there more often. But it is there if you want it. I only put it on if I'm carrying very heavy weights and I know I'll be walking for an entire day or something like that. For a few hours, I never bother. I find waist belts more restrictive and sort of make me less likely to take the bag on and off to get into stuff. So I don't usually attach it. It's quite easy to put in though with a bit of Velcro. The straps themselves come with a couple of fairly useful pockets. I don't usually put my phone in here, but I do when I'm hiking because I have an iPhone mini, which fits easily. You fit a larger iPhone in there. but the iPhone mini's battery is quite poor, so I normally have a power bank in the bag elsewhere and a cable running to it, and I just stick it in here. You'll probably see that if you go back and look at my Switzerland video, which I'll put a link to up here somewhere. Over here, I don't know, I never know which way to point. But there is one slight flaw with the harness, and I've actually pulled the stitching here, and credit to Shimoda, they sent me a replacement set of straps, and I've just been too lazy to put them on, I must admit. And this is caused if you set the bag up incorrectly. So in my case, I had pulled these too tight so that when you were lifting the bag by the straps, like that, it was putting the load on this bit and not on this bit. And that's a problem. You don't want to do that. It will pull the stitching out. These are not stitched in such a way that they can take that load. It is just thread at the end of the day. I don't necessarily think I'd call that a design flaw, but maybe a guidance flaw. I feel like that might need to be pointed out a bit more. But overall, I really like the harness setup. I like that it's adjustable, and it is comfortable for all-day hiking. And in Switzerland, I carried 15 kilos of gear on an 8-hour hike up and around a valley, and at no point did I feel uncomfortable with the bag. In fact, I actually felt more comfortable with the bag because I broke my collarbone a few years back, and the pressure on my shoulder actually makes it feel better on long walks. So it's a medical aid. It's not a medical aid. Yes, I really like that aspect of the bag. I find that in general, the rest of the storage on the bag is more than satisfactory. I like the stowaway side pockets. As you can see, I've got them both out at the moment. I stick the tripod in one, drinks bottle in the other. One of the most important things about this bag, I feel, is that you can access this drinks bottle holder when it's on your back. It's low down enough that you can pull the bottle out. I can't do that on my timber bag that I often use for just day trips. I like it. It works really well. In this front section, you can store a variety of things. I tend to put my keys in here. There's a couple of little pockets. I put like hand warmers and waterproof camera bags and stuff like that, like covers and things, and my jacket and a kneeling pad, because this section has drain holes at the bottom and it's separate from the main bag, so I put wet stuff in here usually. There's also what I'm assuming is intended to be a water bladder pocket, but you can put a laptop in there if you so desire. It's a compromise between security of it being further away on your back, but comfort. So if you're out hiking and you have your laptop with you and you're not too worried about security, stick it in there and it will be more comfortable on your back. In terms of what I keep in the top section on day trips and things like that, I usually keep my gloves and things in one section and my camera gear and bits in the other, GoPro case and things in the middle. It has essentially two pockets. It's got one on each side. They are very deep. They're actually about this deep, because if you use the smaller camera insert, the top section of this expands downwards. In fact, it's just like an internal sack in the bag, and it has just extra fabric that you poke down the side of the camera insert if you've got the large one, but if you've got the small one, it expands all the way down. Really clever design. I like it a lot. It's got two zippy pockets in there, and I put sort of camera bits in one, gloves in the other, and assorted other stuff in the top. And I did find for a week traveling to Switzerland and back that I was easily able to get my clothes for the week, traveling vaguely light, but my clothes for the week, all my camera gear, which I took far too much of, and my computer, stuff like that. I had no problem with it. I think it's a fantastic traveling bag if you're a photographer. But that sort of feels like what it was designed for, what I would call the adventure photographer. And I'm not entirely certain what an adventure photographer is. I think it's somebody who appears a lot on social media. And that's the only real flaw in this bag. So I'll explain why. The camera insert that I have in this bag is the most awkward camera insert that I've ever used in a bag. I much prefer the layout and the dividers that come in, say, the timber bags or crumpler bags that I've had in the past, or I used to have a Mindshift bag, a very big Mindshift bag, that had a much better layout in it, much better dividers, even though the camera compartment in that was fixed and it wasn't a replaceable insert. So there's a downside there, I guess, but in this, I think if you were an adventure photographer, whatever that is, then I feel it would be very suitable for you, whoever you are. But for someone carrying a long lens in particular, the insert is a bit weird. It will take a gripped mirrorless body or a gripped DSLR with a long lens, and I've tried it with the Sigma 150-600. I've had the Olympus 300mm f4, that's quite a small lens to be fair, and this, the Fuji 150-600, and it will take all of those with a gripped body attached. This is the tightest fit of all of those lenses, and I have to remove the rubber eyepiece from the X-H2S, which is filming me at the moment, in order to fit it attached into the bag. And as you can see, there's a little bit of space here, and I kind of wish the insert was just like a centimetre taller. But it is what it is. I mean, if it was a centimetre taller, it would just about fit some other cameras maybe, and then you'd want it a centimetre taller again. So it would be nice. But it's a very thin, very tough material, and you have to fit it underneath a wire frame, and the actual insert itself is very solid. I think it's wired itself. It has its own internal structure. But the oddity with the insert, and I don't know if it carries over to, say, I think they do a large video one. Maybe I need to look at that. But I don't know if it fits in this bag. I'll have to look at that. And they do a smaller insert that goes to about here. The dividers that come in it are really weird. There isn't a single one that is the full height of the bag. And that's usually something you get in a taller bag, because taller camera bags are usually intended to take long lenses or many lenses. And I feel like that's what they went for here. I haven't got anywhere near all of the little mini dividers that came with it in the bag at the moment. And as you can see, my layout of this bag is exceptionally bizarre, and that is because of the dividers that came with it. And I don't think you can use thicker dividers, because I don't think you'd have the space to fit a large lens like this in here. With the OM camera, I was able to have the camera and the lens over here. So with the 300mm f4, it fit there, sort of sideways with the lens foot in the middle on its side. And then I could still use this side access door to put another camera in the bottom. That was quite nice, but I can't do that with this camera. You need the full height. You need the camera grip to sort of come out here, and then use this side for other things. So I have a small retro lens here with an adapter on it, and it just sort of wedges in there. My microphone goes in above it. That's why there's sort of random bits of fluff everywhere. These sorts of things for holding stereo mics and stuff are really awkward. You don't, like, if you're not carrying video stuff, I think you would be able to hold a lot more photography gear. So my filming lens goes in here, got a little lens down here, various other audio bits and lights and things like that. It's got enough space for all the things that I need to carry, and that's good. But in order to get the shape of this, I did have to use two small inserts, or small dividers, and I had to stick them together to each other to make one long divider with a pocket in the middle. This is a trick that might prove useful for you if you get this bag. I think this is the optimum way of using the inserts they provide you with without having to go and buy some other inserts. So yeah, there's a lot of very weird shapes going on here, but this took a lot of trial and error to get to this point, and now I'm actually happy with it. I think it works well. It's just a bit of a shame that it is so awkward compared to other inserts that I've used in the past. I think if you are carrying smaller gear, or you're not carrying a long lens, you'll have far more flexibility on how you can lay it out. But for me, this setup is working. And that's really the only downside of this bag. One thing I should commend this bag on, and Shimoda for doing so, is it is genuinely quite water resistant without putting the rain cover on it. It does have a rain cover. I have it inside the bag. It's very vibrant blue. But the bag itself is remarkably water resilient. I'm not going to say it's waterproof. That's not the case with any bag without a rain cover on. I have soaked through every bag I've ever had, including the Mindshift one that I had, which purported to be more waterproof materials. It's not the case, not if you live here in Wales. The rain is incessant and just so much water, even though it's not dramatic, there's just so much water sometimes in this country that it will soak through any waterproof material. But my waterproof jackets aren't waterproof either, so the only real solution is just additional layers. So I put the rain cover on if I know I'm going to be out in a storm or exceptionally heavy rain for hours. If it's a light storm or just a bit of constant rain, you know, normal Welsh weather, I don't bother. And this is the first bag I've been able to do that with, so I'm very happy about it in that regard. One thing that I look for in a bag that this bag generally delivers on quite well is that all of the major parts of it that you need to get to regularly should be accessible with one hand, because this allows you to pull out your camera gear, hold your camera gear, and then do the bag back up. And in general, I find that very doable. Obviously, the roll top's a bit awkward, but you've got a zip here, and you've got a zip here for this front section, and you've got the zip for the padded compartment. The only bit that I do find awkward is the sternum strap, which I do need to use, because otherwise it pulls on my collarbone. And I just wish that where they had used a magnetic clip, and I'll put the name of these clips on the screen because I forgot what it's called. They use this for the waist strap for reattaching it out of sight. I just wish that they had put that on here so that you could do the sternum strap up just by clipping it together with one hand. It's very awkward with one hand. But aside from that, the entire bag that I need to operate when I'm getting my camera gear out, etc., I can operate with one hand. That's brilliant. Love that feature. That's something I couldn't do with my Mindshift bag, and it's one of my favourite aspects of this bag. So that's it. This hasn't been a massively in-depth review. This is really my personal experience with the bag after 6 months. And it is a very expensive bag. It's a £400 bag here in the UK by the time you include the insert. And that's an awful lot of money for a bag. But it is brilliant, aside from the oddities with the camera insert. But I can't see me replacing this bag until it eventually fails. And so far, it seems very resilient and well made. So I'm hopeful that it's going to last a long time. It is fantastic. And it's one of the best pieces of product design that I have seen in a very long time. I'm seriously impressed with the thought that went into this product, and for me it's worth the money. That doesn't necessarily mean it is for you. Maybe you don't carry this amount of gear. I often carry multiple cameras. I carry gear for going outdoors. I mean, today I think I have an axe in here because I'm out in the woods. It's a bag for adventure photographers. Does that make me an adventure photographer? I don't know. But if this bag is too expensive or too big for you, go and check out my review of the Tenber Fulton V2 16 litre, which is at the opposite end of the spectrum, which is a £100 bag, and is in many ways also brilliant. But it costs £100, it's much cheaper. Go check that out. I'll put that up here, I guess. I should really learn which way I need to point for YouTube stuff. I think that's right. Anyway, thanks for watching. Until next time.